Focus. Ideate. Innovate. Enable. Tata Motors presents Trucking into the Future in partnership with News 18 Network.
Hello and welcome to the first edition of Tata Motors Presents Trucking into the Future in partnership with the News 18 Network. Now, if it were not for the petroleum, oil and lubricant sector, most of us, quite frankly, wouldn't have made it to this event. We needed to run machinery, our vehicles, ships, and fly our aircraft. So let's look at the big picture. India is considered as one of the biggest participants to non-OECD petroleum intake increase globally. We are the second biggest refiner in Asia with a refining potential at 248.9 million metric tons per annum. Petroleum, oil, and lubricants account for 15% of our exports, while we import 85% to meet our domestic needs. The POL industry is also working towards cutting fuel emissions and achieving fuel economy benefits. Now, with the government's push to Bharat 6 compliance, the POL industry too has used technology to meet the required standards. So, what's left? Well, there is a big challenge. One major challenge the industry faces is with logistics, as it adds a huge cost to the crude price in addition to staples and taxes. So, in this exchange of ideas that we are about to have, we'll try and find the answers to all these challenges and gain some insights into the future of logistics in the POL industry. Well, I'm joined in this conversation by some leading voices in the industry. Let me quickly introduce them to you. P.S. Ravi, Executive Director Retail at BPCL, joins us. And along with him, we have with us Gaurav Moda, Energy Sector Leader at EY India. Chetan Walunj, who's the founder and CEO at Repos Energy. And finally, V. Sitapati, Vice President and Head of the product line Medium and Heavy Commercial Vehicles at Tata Motors. Thank you everyone for joining us in this very interesting exchange of ideas. So we'll start with the big picture, Mr. Ravi. In these past 2 very interesting years that we have seen, what are some of the biggest transformations that has caught your attention, and especially in terms of resilience, where do you see taking your organization forward?
Certainly, this year so far has been pretty good for the oil industry, and particularly for our company, Bharat Petroleum. As you rightly said, in the month of June, we have seen that the petrol has grown significantly higher. We are clocking a growth of about 15%, and diesel for the first time after a couple of years has crossed the pre-COVID levels, and we are growing at around 3.5%. The ratio of petrol to diesel used to be 1:3.5. It has now become 1:2.5, thanks to e-commerce, thanks to door delivery expectation from the consumers. These are the big level changes which has happened.
All right, the big level changes. Let's see how the medium and heavy commercial vehicle segment responds to that in terms of what's happening that you see, market share performance in the POL segment for medium and heavy commercial vehicles, Mr. Sitapati. What would be your assessment?
As Ravi rightly put it, the industry is growing. Post-pandemic, the recovery is happening. As he said rightly, we have reached the pre-COVID level of penetration and consumption. More kiloliters per truck has been supporting the growth. Second is, there is a demand for improved profitability. More revenue coming, as I said, by improved kiloliters and faster turnaround time because higher horsepower. The cost of operations, one of the key thing, as we heard, most of them say is 58 to 60% is the diesel cost, which if you give an engine which is well designed along with emission compliance, optimally more kilometers per liter, ye dil mange more. So that is going to help in optimizing the cost of operations. Therefore, the fleet owners, the people who are moving the petroleum, oil and lubricants across the country, because the secondary market is primarily driven on road, very less support from rail and sea. So therefore, it is optimally helping the corporations, fleet owners, and we all smile back home.
All right. And we hope those smiles keep expanding. As you said, ye dil mange more. And it's great to see that it's a positive aspect that you look at, that every challenge is an opportunity. All right. Let me take some keywords there. Last mile delivery. And Chetan, I'll come to you for that. Considering, when I look at what you do, you're supposed to be the future of energy distribution. So tell us about the Repos Energy story and how you have, how it came about and how you're going forward with it, and how do, say, government policies, for example, say the diesel doorstep delivery model, how does that help?
So what sir was speaking about the last mile fuel delivery. For the OMCs, the last mile fuel delivery is delivering fuel from the depots to retail outlet. Now, when we talk about a large truck or a mining site or a construction equipment, they never go to a retail outlet. There is some sort of an arrangement which is made where the diesel has been bought to the fuel to their site from the fuel station, and that's where Repos comes into picture. So we are an e-commerce of energy distribution. How you order food, cab, now you can order fuel on app, and that's where we have delivered, or we have made or innovated a mobile fuel station where delivering fuel from the retail outlet to the last mile delivery by making a very transparent, adding a technology to that, and the last and the most important is making it very efficient, where he doesn't waste his time as well as he doesn't use his fuel to get fuel. That's what we are trying to do in this space.
Gaurav, considering, the headlines always read about India's import bills, whether it's crude, which is around 80% of imports, LNG 54%, and considering logistics is still road heavy, what are the steps, what is the situation right now, and what are the steps that India needs to take to kind of move forward, kick the tires, light the fires when it comes to its renewable fuel credentials?
I think there are three levels to it. Level one is ensure, which is all about safety, all about efficiency, and all of that. In that, what kind of new technologies can we establish in our trucks? And new things are coming up. Second level is optimize, wherein IoT, digital, and all of that is one aspect. But the industry also is reshaping itself in consolidating, as you were saying, in terms of larger highways, larger trucks, larger, more organized players coming in. The third level, which is what you want trying to understand, is transition. So ensure, optimize, transition. Now in transition, if you think about the renewable penetration, if you take a step back, logistics is about 5 to 6% of the Indian GDP. If you look at the total fuel consumption in India, more than 50% of the fuel consumption is diesel, and most of that is trucks. We have so many conversations about EVs and CNG, CGD, all of this essentially amounts to 20% petrol, where all that impact will be. You're talking about 55% of the country's fuel consumption can transition.
The sector overall is looking at sort of sustainable fleet management and sustainability overall. So in terms of what the medium and heavy commercial vehicle options are there in terms of green fuel variants, or the broader ecosystem when it comes to, say, training drivers or mechanics or service stations at each fuel plant, what's the game at play right now?
We also have a very decent presence with our CNG trucks, which is for sure would give between 20 to 26% of carbon footprint reduction. Over the last 3 years, 8% by volume in ILCV trucks has become 52% by volume. That's the CNG penetration. So much reduction in the number of diesel trucks sold. So that is lesser carbon footprint. So we will soon be coming trucks with CNG. And as Ravi rightly pointed out, trucks with LNG. LNG will be able to combat the range problem very well. The trucks will be able to run 1200 to 1400 kilometers after one charge, which may not be possible with the CNG because of the heaviness of the cylinders. Type 1 cylinders, we'll have to migrate to Type 4 cylinders, which will be expensive. So LNG is a popular methodology of moving material with bigger trucks, which is proven primarily in China, followed by in Europe. Then, of course, the world is going to go the EV way. The bigger trucks will have its own challenges in EV, because if you want to give the range, if you want to address the payload, then the battery weight would become a challenge. The higher the range you give, more number of batteries, therefore lesser the truck is going to carry. So the proper solution for long-range trucks is going to be LNG and followed by fuel cell technology. So that's how the migration is. So this is a 4-step process, and Europe took from Euro 1 to Euro 6 nearly 20 years. Look at India, we took only 8-9 years. So therefore, we will also fast adopt the technologies, and Tata Motors will play a very primary role in making that happen.
Tata Motors presents Trucking into the Future in partnership with News 18 Network.
Let's also look at the human element here, Mr. Ravi. I mean, when we look at it, your logistics partners are still transporting a product that might be considered hazardous when they're moving it around. So, from a driver training, from a safety and welfare program perspective, what are the things that the industry ecosystem has come up with or is supporting in conjunction with logistics partners?
Here, for the drivers who come with the trucks to fill and then take the product out, these drivers have been trained well by us. Only trained drivers come into our location. It's not that we give them training once. We keep on training them once. I mean, every year also refreshers they do undergo number of times. So they are conversant with it. Second, as I told you, since the health of the people is important, the drivers are also equally important. We have gone in for bottom loading, not just in terms, it increases the efficiency, but when you fill petrol, diesel, there's a lot of vapor generation. That vapor generation reduces drastically by this bottom loading, and then we have got the vapor recovery system. So the health of the drivers is being taken care of. Third, we mandatorily do health checks for all these drivers, including eyesight, and we also help them, we aid them. We have insurance schemes, which takes care of not just the driver, but also his family. This Bharat Petroleum has tied up with the insurance companies, and we take care of the insurance of these people for their health. The short distance commercial vehicles are increasing day by day. So for that community, health is important. Financial inclusion is important. BPCL, Bharat Petroleum is playing a very big role in terms of engaging with these communities. We are helping them. We have tied up with medical institutions so that this community of short distance vehicles is taken care of. Financial inclusion, we have partnered with Fino Payment Bank and banking services at their doorstep or at the retail outlet. They can come do all their banking transactions at Bharat Petroleum retail outlets. So we are proud to say that we are not just Bharat Petroleum bunk. I mean, in Tamil they say Bharat Petrol bunk. Petrol pump ko bunk bolte hain. So we have now converted that to Bharat Petroleum banks.
Mr. Sitapati, you have some comments to add here.
Yeah, I would like to add. As far as Tata Motors is concerned, driver is not only important stakeholder, he's like demigod for us. He's an influencer. He can go and tell the fleet owner that ye gaadi nahi chahiye. Then that's bad news for us. So we have invested a lot into developing them. There are 5 levels. One is we have dozens of driver training schools where you teach them the basic driving. Second is you teach them how to drive the vehicle safe, which is more relevant to POL, what we are talking about today. You have to drive the truck safely, how effectively to use the brake, how to drive the truck economically. So that is the second level, and these courses are repeated for the same person again and again. Third one is introducing them to the advent of technology, how to leverage the fleet edge, how to look at the driver monitoring system, how to leverage all the active safety features that are given into the vehicle. So this is the third level of driver training. The fourth one is the drona level of training. In the sense, you will have to create a drona. Anybody who held the steering wheel for a few thousand kilometers, they all think that they are Arjunas. So nobody else can coach them. So only a drona can coach them. So we create drona level of driver training. So that's how we are trying to evolve with that.
So there are various levels of ye dil mange more.
Yeah.
All right. Getting down to the brass tacks again, when it comes to cost optimization and fleet efficiency, that will always be key for logistics players. So let's focus the conversation more towards that, Mr. Sitapati. Now, in case of the POL segment, special care is required, especially when it comes to the storage and maintenance of the product that they're transporting. So, what are some of the innovations and customizations that the industry has come about?
As Ravi touched upon, the fleetage, the electronic tracing, what we are given, it is not just track and trace. It is much beyond that. It talks about the fuel efficiency. It talks about the driver behavior. Is he fast accelerating? Is he accelerating fast and braking quite often? Is he changing gears in the right manner? Every data is available in order to improve the performance of the vehicle as well as to reduce the downtime of the vehicle. Going forward, along with the evolution of BS6 and RD, Real Driving Emission Phase 2, which is going to come into being from 1st April 23, there is a lot more which is being introduced electronically, including prognostics, which will study the wear and tear of some of the clutch plates or brake shoes and then tell that, hey, listen, before it breaks down itself, you need to visit the workshop so that you will avoid an accident. Or a driver monitoring system, which will be looking into the eyes of the driver, and if he is dozing, it will give a beep and vibrate his seat so that majority, as you all may be knowing, 58% of the accidents that are happening on the express highways is because of the driver fatigue who slept on the wheels. So this all will be avoided. So we are going to leverage the technology in order to support the industry for safe movement of petroleum, oil and lubricants, which are explosives on the road.
All right, let's take the conversation up a gear, and I'll bring in Mr. Ravi for this. A lot of government measures have taken place, whether it's GST, e-bill, Bharatmala, logistic efficient enhancement program, Make in India, lots of developments in the logistics space. So what kind of an impact has it had on the industry, and how has it helped you in the transition journey to a digital and sort of green provider?
The e-way bills particularly has considerably reduced those time which used to be spent at the check post, 2 hours, 3 hours, sometimes even a day or two. So it has cut down on the time taken for the transportation of the goods. These dedicated freight corridors are going to be a completely different set of ball game. So here they are going to be access controlled with limited places where they're going to stop. So like we at Bharat Petroleum, we had pioneered this concept called as the one-stop trucker shop, wherein for the trucker at one place, all what he requires, personal solution, journey solution, the business solution is available at one single place. So similar kind of facilities are going to be set up along this dedicated freight corridors. These change in the way the program, this LEAP, the Bharatmalas and the e-way bills and the GSTs, this is bringing in a completely different digital world, which is also emerging in the transportation industry. Our retail outlets are now geared up. We have introduced technology in a very big way. I would like to also share with you, we have come out with an initiative called as U-Fill, wherein the fueling is completely controlled by the owner of the vehicle wherever he is going to be seated, because 55 to 60% of the fuel, the cost of the transportation is fuel. So we have given the complete control to the transporters so that they can completely monitor, control, and ensure that what they want is actually being delivered.
All right, and development of alternate fuels has also received a lot of policy attention. So what steps are you taking with an eye on the future to not just benefit the customer, but the entire sort of POL ecosystem?
First is in terms of liquid fuels, as I told you that biofuels is coming in. So ethanol for petrol has happened and it is going to grow. As far as diesel is concerned, work is happening on bringing in the biodiesel component of it. So that would also help. Second, as I told, gas is going to be the transition fuel. So we are building LNG stations. Third, as far as the EV is concerned, currently the passenger segment is witnessing a massive growth in the EV. I mean, thanks to Tata Motors leading all the way. About, I think, 5 to 7,000 passenger vehicles are being sold per month, which are EV today in the country, and Tata Motors share is, I think, by far the largest. So now to support this this EV industry, so we have set up fast charging corridor. We call it as fast charging corridor. So city A to city B. So we don't talk of just charging infrastructure. We provide complete solution because we know when the break is taken by the EV owner, he doesn't want just charging. He wants charging plus resting plus something to eat, some fuel for himself, food for himself. So we are coming up with this sort of a concept, and this is going to get proliferated. But then this is for the passenger segment. But simultaneously, we are also preparing, we are also gearing up, and we are also working closely with the auto majors, so that if anything emerges on the trucking side, we are very much present there. We will help in ensuring that this need for the transportation segment is also taken care of.
All right.
Thank you, Ravi.
All right. So, Chetan, let me bring you in. Considering all the massive transformations which are going to come about in the fuel distribution space, how does the industry ecosystem continue to remain agile and, look at scaling up exponentially? What are some of the do's and don'ts you would suggest?
So today we are seeing, means if 5 years back we just knew two fuels, petrol and diesel. Today we are knowing multiple amount of fuels, and every house, my house has an EV, petrol, CNG and diesel, right? Now from where the entire distribution channel is going to come? Like, let us say today about electric. My sister, when she wants to buy an electric car, she was asking infrastructure, means will there be a charger? So that's when a very power shift will be with the phygital model, which you rightly said. One will be physical, one will be mobile. So while LNG, we are working on an LNG technology where we will directly come and fill LNG at your doorstep for your truckers, right? Because there will be a need for a physical station also and mobile station also. That's what we are trying to make a phygital world together.
Make a phygital world together. That's something, the retailers have been saying it. They went back to digital, now they're back to phygital. So it's always a game of finding the right mix. But I guess for the logistics sector, I mean, it makes sense what you are saying. But let's also understand, what is it going to take to reach there? Because a lot of the players in the ecosystem, they still are legacy based. So for them to kind of being brought into the 21st century with a wide variety of fuels, wide variety of models, wide variety of vehicles in service of them, what's going to be required in your opinion, Gaurav? And what will take them there? Especially from the financing aspect, that's going to be a key part.
It all boils down to financing actually. I mean, 65% of your cost is your diesel. So how that can be optimized, if there is a cost arbitrage, the shift will happen. If there is no cost arbitrage, shift will not happen. No matter how much all of us may keep discussing here and all the industries may keep trying, we need to ensure that at the end of the day, there is value for that trucker who's making most of his money out of trying to save every paisa worth of fuel.
Well, they say show me the money, but in this case it would be show me the green, and green can have many connotations. Mr. Ravi, as we look to conclude the discussion, what are your expectations from logistics partners, especially when it comes to, say, cost management and other things?
We as oil industry, because we have a large reach, we can reach the customers well. We are ready to invest, and all we require is the support from the government, so that it also makes commercial, like Gaurav said, it also needs to make commercial sense to us to actually be there. So that is the one part. And the second part is, yes, we will work with all the logistics partners. We are very keen to work with them. As the energy transition happens, we will work with them, we will stand by them. Very recently, we have come across a demand from the logistics partners telling that, can you give me the CNG route from city A to city B? So now we have worked on that from Bharat Petroleum, and we will be providing them we will do the route planning for them. So this is the kind of partnership which we will enter into, so that different forms of energy can be utilized by the logistics providers.
Well, we have run out of time. On that note, it's time to wrap up this special conversation around trucking into the future. And the future indeed does look bright. It looks green. And I sincerely hope more positive developments come in. As Mr. Sitapati said, watch this space for the next 3-4 years. On that note, thank you so much to all the leaders on the panel for sharing with us their insights. Thank you very much.
Tata Motors presents Trucking into the Future in partnership with News 18 Network. Focus, ideate, innovate, enable.